If you are struggling to find your lane as a projector or how to position yourself online, this video is going to be for you. This is on the fly, off the cuff, hitting record spontaneously after getting off of a call, an hour-and-a-half call with a splenic projector. I myself is a splenic projector as well, talking about business and positioning and how to find your niche and all of the things.
Welcome to Frequency of Self, your go-to resource for the practical application of human design in life, business, and relationships. If you're ready to experience lasting transformation, hit subscribe.
I think the thing that's really interesting about being a projector is that we are here to read energy. Bottom line. That's it. There is this capacity that projectors have to be able to recognize when something is slightly off, even if you can't quite name it. This includes the frustration of the others around us. Now, what gets us in trouble is we often tend to call out, hey, noticing you're a little frustrated. If you only did this, you would have a better life, blah, blah, blah. Right? That gets us in trouble because we're not invited. In that process, we often learn to hold back our power, hold back the things that we really see. And often it can create an internal dialogue of maybe the things that I see aren't actually as valuable as I think that they are.
Part 1, Awareness of Sensitivity.
When I first found human design and learned that I had 7 open centers in my chart and that I am an empath here to absorb energy, I didn't have that awareness prior to human design. I would think that I'm a little bit of a go-getter. I can set a goal, I can make it happen, right? I can go after things. But then when I became aware of how sensitive I am to my environment. For example, I'll be driving down the road and I drive by a homeless person. Then I leave that person and I'm like, I can feel the pain of that person. I can feel whatever it is that they were carrying. It kind of almost gets stuck to me. It's almost like I became this, I don't want to say fearful creature, but there is an element of that where I was so aware of how impacted I was by my environment that I was very cautious of getting more people in my environment. This made it very challenging to go to events, go to public places, concerts, for example, or places with just large crowds, because I became very aware of how I begin to pick up other people's emotions, other people's sense of direction, right? And all of this sensitivity, I became very aware of that sensation. In that process, it's easy to see sensitivity as a negative. But as I began to shift my perspective of sensitivity as a gift, as I began to grow in my awareness of how to move through the world without being as impacted by other people, I began to be able to read energy without getting swayed.
Part 2, Sensitivity as a Gift.
There's so much conditioning that projectors have, especially projectors that have a lot of white within their chart. They're going to be swayed by their environment, by the people that are around you. And we're meant to be that way, but it's the shoulds or the shouldn'ts that often hold us back from fully embracing sensitivity as a gift. As I began to become aware of my sensitivities and accept that this was a gift, I began to trust what was coming through. And without having to dole out wisdom, without being invited, it also helped me preserve energy. So for example, if I was in an environment where I could kind of tell not really a place where I'm going to be recognized, great, sit back, observe. I learned to get really good at sneakily getting invited for, hey, how do I pull my human design chart? Oh, I will happily do that for you. Let me look at your chart. Feel that person's energy in that moment, right? You begin to tune into the different frequencies that are around in this world, because human design is really just words on a page to describe a felt experience, or visuals on a page to describe a felt experience. You can use the 9 center questions. I will link to the guide in the description below to really become familiar with being able to pick up energy, even if you don't know other people's charts. Now you can take it to the next level, understanding the frequencies to where when you do see someone's charts, you can begin to associate this channel feels like this in my body. When you're first starting with human design, there's this side of human design that's like, I don't know what this one channel is, this 3536. You go to a book and you look up 3536. What is that? But as you begin to be more and more familiar with the chart and you look at someone's chart, you're really just looking at visuals. You're looking at centers connecting to each other with lines, and you begin to relate that to the felt experience. I'm observing these behaviors in this other person. Here's where I would make this person wrong for how they are. And instead, I'm observing it. I'm not labeling it, but I'm observing it. And the more that you do that, the more you begin to see the world from a different playing field in a way, right? It's fascinating. It's hard to explain until you've been in this system for a while. And by the way, if you want like a step-by-step approach to how to really decode a human design chart and really begin to learn how to work with this system beyond just like watching this YouTube channel, Human Design Decoded is an amazing course to do that. I will link to it in the description below as well. It's fantastic for really teaching you the foundations of this system so that you can really begin to understand it.
Part 3, find your niche and offer.
As projectors, we have a tendency to feel lost when we're just looking at one little sliver. So when you're thinking like, what's my niche? You're looking at one little sliver, but really we are macro problem solvers. And until you see the big picture and until you've collected enough experiences to have that big picture perspective, it can be really hard to like hone in on your offering. As projectors, we collect different experiences throughout our lives. There are things that we get super obsessed with, that we go deep into. It's the things that you could talk about endlessly that other people kind of glaze over when you start to talk about them too much. It's often the areas where you feel you are too much. For me, it's always been, Amanda, you talk about business too much. Can we stop talking about video marketing? Right, like with my brother, I would hear him say that to me all the time. Or it began human design once I really got into human design. Like that was a big thing too. Like it's too much. I have to really watch when I'm around certain people. They don't want to hear about it, right? So like slow down. Give yourself the space to talk about that in certain arenas, aka this YouTube channel. Please click like, drop a comment below if you're liking this off the cuff kind of style video. Bringing it all home, you're gonna look at that fascination that you have, the thing that you feel like you're too much in. And I want you to take a way bigger picture perspective of it. Projectors, we're not here to see ourselves. We're here to see the other and understand the other. So when we're focused inward on who am I, what do I do, that's when we get lost. If you relate to that, please share your experience below, because I very much understand the feeling of feeling lost. Every time I look inward, that's when like the struggle and the turmoil starts to happen. But if you turn your lens outward and look at other people and read their energy and then offer this big perspective of your projector fascinations, that's how you're really going to hone in on what makes you different and how to position yourself in your marketplace to be fully magnetic and to get endless invitations to be able to use your craft.
Part 4, structure and price your offer.
When developing offerings as a projector, the more that I go through this experiment, the more I am finding that I really crave one-to-one. I really crave high ticket done for you, where I really get to feel someone's energy. We go deep together. I am holding space that other people are not willing to hold. I want to hear your problems. I want to hear the things that you're thinking through. I want to hear who you are as a person, and then use my expertise, my fascinations, video marketing, online marketing, YouTube strategy, that is all like my nerdy human design projector deep dives, and read your energy, investigate you using my profile. Your profile is a big clue to how you can go about your offerings as well. So me as an investigator, let me investigate my people. You know what I mean? Like, come to me, let me look at your energy, let me deep dive into who you are. Then use that big picture perspective of the fascinations to be able to provide an entirely new perspective on who you are. I'm editing this video and want to add something here. In a world that is obsessed with one-to-many, making something $27 or $7 instead of having a high-ticket offer, people are craving guidance. People are craving someone to hold space for them. And this does not mean that as a projector, you can't have a one-to-many business model where you're going to sell courses or anything like that. But by beginning with a one-to-one, you're going to have the advantage of really learning what the market actually needs and developing that system with real people and then turning around and selling that system in the one-to-many format. This is how you are going to find your success as a projector. Quick little video, off the cuff, totally unscripted, in the moment. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to click like, share your comments below of what inspired you. And if you'd like to dive into another topic, I don't know where to push to next, but I'm just gonna put a video on the screen right now that YouTube suggests. I recommend watching it. I'll see you there.